Oftentimes we're conditioned to be on to the next win, on to the next deal, on to the next recruiting, true or false? Rather than feeling the win, feeling the emotion of actually winning. And how many of you agree focusing in the present moment is one of the most difficult things to do? Show of hands. Everything that I'm teaching you and all these strategies and everything that you're going to learn from this amazing event, you can master it if you understand the 3 parts of the brain. How many parts? 3. How many parts? 3. There's 3 parts of the brain. You have your thinking. Note it. You have your thinking. You have your doing. And you have your being. What's the first one? Being. Second? Third? Being. So amazing. Look at you, great students. Thinking, doing, being. Now, how many of you have ever remembered the first time you learned how to drive a car? I remember getting in the car and he was like, "You ready?" "I'm ready." I passed. I got my license. Right? They're like, "How?" I just don't understand. Right? But you remember the first time you learned how to drive a car, right? You got into the car, you're probably freaking out. Right? You sit in it, you put your seatbelt on, you're learning the gears, you're checking your mirrors, and then you're on your way. And then what happened? You drove 4 times, 5 times, 10 times. You got what we call reps. Someone say reps. Someone say reps. I got reps. And then the 10th time I got in the car, or you got in the car, you threw it on, you threw your radio on, and you were smacking your steering wheel, and you were on your way. Now, you've driven 500, 1,000 times, 1,500 times. How many people in this room have ever driven from point A to point Z and had no idea where time went? Make some noise. Right? That's because you went from thinking driving to doing driving to what? Being driving. Whew. This is the same strategy for sales. This is the same strategy for marketing, recruiting, investing, doing deals. You have to get what? You have to get reps until you have that unconscious competence. Oftentimes, your anxiety and stress is coming from your lack of preparation. Whew, sorry. A lot of the times, the anxiety and stress is coming from a lack of preparation. So what I'd like you to note in this moment is what's the very skill that I just need to get more reps on? Note it. You're like looking at me and starstruck. What is the skill? What is the muscle that I need to exercise so I can get some more reps in so I'm more certain and confident when I do it? You should have saw the first time I spoke on stage. "Hey guys, it's Nick." Can you tell I got some reps? Someone say reps. So what is that skill that you need to get more reps on? Someone said reps. He's just like in it, reps, reps, reps. Pound, 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 go. Right? Awesome. Now the next thing that I want to take you through, as I mentioned, the quality of your life comes down to the quality of the emotions you feel on a day-to-day basis. There's a concept that I want you to lean into for this next remainder of the session. And it's a concept called emotional integrity. Emotional what? Integrity. Emotional what? Integrity. Emotional integrity. And what emotional integrity states is that every single time an emotion arises, like I want to cry and I don't, I lie to myself. Every time I suppress my emotions, I'm lying to myself. And if I lie once to myself, what is it easy to do? Lie again, lie again, lie again. And in this society, we have been conditioned to soothe. Would you agree? We soothe with drugs, we soothe with alcohol, porn, video games, whatever it may be. We soothe because we don't want to feel this specific emotion, and that's why we don't heal. Now, most of our beliefs and the way that we view the world was cultivated between 0 and 7 years old. And the reason being is because during 0 and 7, your brain was in theta state. What state? Theta state, which is the door to your subconscious mind, aka we're very suggestible. So what I'm going to do real quickly is I'm just going to share a sentence, and if you've ever heard this sentence as a little boy or little girl, I just want you to raise your hand. You ready? If you're ready, say yes. Yes. Say yes. Yes. We can't afford that. They said, ooh. Come on, put them up. We can't afford that. Rich people are evil. Why are you laughing? They're like, rich people are greedy? They probably screwed someone over for that car. Watch this, ready? Money doesn't grow on trees. Did you know they print it? They printed way too much. In a building, they print it. It does grow on trees, right? Now watch this. Big boys don't cry. Big girls don't cry. Put 2 up for that one. And at a very early age, you believed that money was hard to make. At a very early age, you were told to shut up and be quiet. At a very early age, you were taught or conditioned that vulnerability was weak and authenticity was weak and that you shouldn't feel your emotions, you should just work through it, or you should just suppress it. How's that going? Because then it builds and builds and builds, and then one day you snap. True or false? And by the way, I'm not throwing stones at your parents. Parents were amazing people. And in order to liberate yourself, you need to have some compassion. Someone say compassion. Because would you agree that your parents did the best they could with what they knew in their conditioning? Give that a round of applause. But your brain is always trying to prove your beliefs right, so you better have some good beliefs. Right? I was sitting with Mike Tyson in Vegas, and he said, Nick, God never made a man that could beat me. I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to fight. You're freaking me out, Mike. Relax. But Mike Tyson was Mike Tyson because he has a specific set of beliefs. It's the same reason why you can have 86,000 agents and give them the same book of business and only a few will succeed. Because those that succeed have a different set of what? Beliefs in psychology. True or false? So what I want to do in this next exercise, are you getting value so far? Make some noise. You're getting value so far. All right. So emotional integrity, I want you to lean into it. And by the way, during this session, I may say things that piss you off. Good. I may say things that make you insecure, that make you feel weak, whatever it may be. If I make you feel a specific way, write it down because there's work that needs to be done. True or false? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to walk you through one of the most powerful processes that my mentor took me through that allows you to identify where you live emotionally and how you're showing up in the world. Now, by the way, the truth will set you what? So lean into this. This is for you, right? And I'm going to ask you a series of questions. That's all I'm going to do. We're going to throw in some music, and I'm going to ask you some serious questions, and I just want you to sit there, and I want you to really dive deep, right? This is the internal work. Most people do not do this work, and that's why they stay in the same place. There's a reason why a man with no legs and one arm does more than people who have all their limbs. It's because I do the work and I have the specific psychology. Who's up for doing the work? Say yes. Awesome. First question I want to ask you, and by the way, understanding that there's 2 emotional states. How many emotional states? You have your beautiful states and you have your suffering states. I got the best mentor in the world. Changed my life. And if I can give back gifts, I'm going to do so. Your beautiful states are all the emotions that you like to feel on a day-to-day basis. What are some emotions that you like to feel? Shout them out. Love. Happiness. She's on a roll. Come on. Peace. Gratitude. Joy. Happiness. Security. Success. Fulfillment. Joy. Peace. Confidence. Certain. All the emotions that we want to feel. They say, has a man with no legs and arms so happy I train myself? You can do it too. Now your suffering states are all the emotions that you don't like to feel. What are some emotions that you don't like to feel? Depression, anger, fear, sadness, pain, insecurity, uncertain, fear, all these, right? These are all emotions that we don't like to feel. Rejection, fear of not being loved, fear of not being wanted. So I'm going to ask you one question, and I'm going to throw in different emotions. I want you to be honest with yourself. I'm not going to ask you for the questions. I'm not going to have you stand up and intervention you. Just don't worry, you're safe. How often do I experience the emotion of anger? Is it once a year? Is it once a month? Is it once a week? Is it once a day? all day. How often do I feel the emotion of insecurity? Is it once a year? Is it once a month? Is it once a week? Is it once a day? Multiple times a day? How many times do I experience the emotion of fear? Is it once a year? Is it once a month? Is it once a week? Is it once a day? Multiple times a day. How many times in my life do I experience the emotion of not feeling confident, not feeling beautiful, not feeling certain, not feeling good enough? Is it once a year? Is it once a month? Is it once a week? Once a day? A couple times a day? All day? It consumes me. Now by this point, you've identified a suffering emotion that you feel a lot. Show of hands if you've identified one. I appreciate you playing full out. How many of you, your emotional home or where you live a lot is anger? Put them up high. Thank you. How many of you is sadness? Fear. Look around at your family. This is your family. We're doing the work. Insecurity. Look at the room. These are your brothers and sisters. Second question. And before I share this question, I'm going to share why I share this question. There was a guy who was walking down the street. And there was a dog crying. He was chained up on the porch. The dog was crying and crying and crying. The guy's like, what's wrong with this dog? And he walks to work. He works his 8-hour shift. He walks back home at night. The dog is still there crying. It's like, this is so weird. And so he goes to sleep. He wakes up the next morning. He walks that same route to work. And he sees the dog out there with the owner. He goes up to the owner. He says, Mister, your dog has been crying for like 24 hours. What's wrong with him? He said, he's sitting on a nail. Sitting on a nail. Why does he get up?